Nomad at Night, starring the one and only Nomad.
Yo, No Maniacs. Welcome to the show. Welcome to a very late edition of Nomad at Night. I'm your host, Nomad, and I got my guys with me. My guy, the Canuck over there to the right, and Mr. Brian is here, who watched the show long before we got a chance to watch it, and he was coming in the green room, smashing it in our face, and we were mad as shit at him. But that being said, it was good. It was good. It was a good episode, man, and I enjoyed it, man. We're going to get into the whole fumble of HBO Max and all that kind of stuff way into this show, man. Thank everybody. I see everybody trying to file in, man. It's a late show, and we hated to have to keep everybody on delay, but I think we were suffering at the same rate of speed as everybody else. Everybody else, apparently across the world, was struggling with, if you didn't have Kodi or Fire Stick or something like that and was streaming it through one of these bandit streamers, you probably didn't get to see the show on time. Apparently, some other people saw it on time that had plain old HBO. I had HBO Max, and we were stuck back there. And so we didn't get to see anything until approximately an hour and 20 minutes after the actual broadcast was supposed to happen. So that being said, man, listen. Oh, hey, before we get going, before I pass it over to my guy, the Canuck, let me give a shout out to my guy. I think his name, and I apologize if I say your name wrong, Lionel Garcia or Leonel Garcia. I don't know exactly how to say it, but hopefully I got it right. One of those was the right ones. But if you're listening, if you're watching, wherever you are, if you're catching this on replay, Lionel sent me a birthday gift, and I didn't see it until today. He sent it to me on August 4th, and I appreciate him. He sent me a Cash App, and I just want to say thank you to him for being generous on my birthday. You didn't have to do that, but I damn sure appreciate it, man. Went to my heart, man. So thank you, Lionel, for that. But with that being said, let me pass it over to the Canuck for some pleasantry before we start kicking it off.
Cheers, No Maniacs. Cheers, Bears fans. Another night. It's Tuesday night, Hard Knocks night, and a Hard Knocks fumble by HBO. But let me give you guys some love here before I get into all that. Nomad touched on a little bit. We'll definitely touch on it some more. A little bit of love to my guy, Jay Grizz. What it do, Jay Grizz? AC Adams with us. Hey, AC. The Nodge. Smitty Q. Billy Ocean. What it do, my friend? When the going gets tough. FFG style. Ant Masters out there with us today, too. Cornelius Squalls, number 2, No Maniac. What's up with the membership there, Cornelius? Anyhow, who else? Jeremy Jones is with us. Itman Tay's with us today. We also got who else we got out there? Clip Victoria. Hey man, everybody's filing in as Nomad said. We'll let them get comfy, and throw it down to Mr. B so we can give you guys a little bit of love too. Go ahead, Brian.
Hey, No Maniacs, thanks for showing up and waiting. Sorry about that, but like I said, this was one of those things that couldn't be helped. HBO Max dropped the ball. I was able to stream it in on the actual HBO channel. That's why I was able to get it. Anyway, I like the episode. I especially like the ice cream museum part. But again, thanks a lot for everybody showing up. Nodge, I'm glad you're here. Just remember, he who wills the wrench has the power.
Okay, so I guess it's on me. Listen, before we get going, I got a special announcement, courtesy of our guy Plank. Man, Plank reached out to me, man, because if you don't know, if you're not familiar, if you're not part of the community on a regular basis, then you probably don't know that Plank got struck with a bad case of COVID. Yeah, I guess this next strain out here is pretty tough. And I don't even think he's in the chat right now because he's feeling it right now. But he reached out to me and he let me know that he had tickets for this Bengals game in Chicago this weekend, Saturday. And so what he asked me to do was to reach out to the community, reach out to Maniacs, and he wanted to give you guys a shot at it first. I think that's the right way to be. He's a big part of why we do this thing, and he decided that make sure these Maniacs get a chance to get their hands on those tickets. I don't know if it's 1 or 2 tickets. I'll double check with him. But here's how you got to go about it, guys. Anybody that's interested in going to that game and wants to get their hands on those tickets or that ticket should get signed up with Ticketmaster right now. Get signed up with Ticketmaster right now. Get yourself an account with Ticketmaster, and that way he'll be able to transfer to you those tickets that way, and you can walk right into the gate and go to the game. But he wanted to offer it to the Nomaniacs first. So first come, first serve, guys. You can keep your eyes on the chat. If anybody wants to do that, go and log into Ticketmaster, get yourself an account, and you got a free ticket waiting on you. First come, first serve. Let us know if you want to do that. But that being said, I thought it was a pretty good episode. What did I take from it? I took what I take as an ex-football player. The stuff that sticks out to me is reps. That's what came through for me in that. I saw a consistent theme of reps make perfect, and that's damn true. Not in just football, but just in life. If you want to get better at something, you got to damn do it. You got to do that shit to the fullest. When it's not popular to do it, you got to go out there and do it, especially if you're out here trying to make a team. It's a bunch of guys that know they're going to make that team, and there's a bunch of guys that don't know if they're going to make that team. But in order for you to get yourself an advantage, you got to take advantage of every rep given to you. And so that was the overarching theme to me. There's a bunch of stuff that we can talk about it, but I wanted to see if between these guys, if they noticed that part of it. Did you notice how reps were emphasized here?
Yeah, with Roma Dunzi's little conversation with those 2 young rookies there, those 2 young up-and-comers, right? He really got into the whole Mamba mentality and how that is and how he uses that in his own training. It was kind of interesting to see that. Then you sort of saw a little bit more you saw the team sort of embrace that a little bit as we move forward into them showing each individual player, right? I thought it was a bit of a theme for tonight's episode. I think you're right there. What do you think, Brian?
With me, I liked the running back coach, Chad Morton, I believe. The way he was talking to Ian Wheeler, even though Ian is a undrafted free agent rookie. To me, obviously, he sees something. That's why he's giving him that tough love. And then also letting him know, okay, yeah, that's good. So, I mean, he's almost playing like the good cop, bad cop to Ian Wheeler. And, the kid is quick. And I didn't hear anything about Roshan Johnson, and I didn't hear anything about Homer.
What about reps? Did that stick out to you at all?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. You've seen Ian Wheeler practice. You've seen the coach talking to him, and for whatever reason, I mean, maybe that's HBO Hard Knocks, or maybe that's the coach didn't say anything about Johnson or Homer. So take that for what it's worth.
So one thing to say about that is just that I believe Roshan's hurt right now, and I think that's why he didn't play at all this past week. So he's injured, unfortunately. I did see Homer on the field working with Ian Wheeler, but I would lean more towards, you know what I mean? I would lean a bit more towards Hard Knocks story than lack of reps for Homer. Fact of the matter is, though, I think that the running backs coach sees something in Ian Wheeler that he's trying to unlock. That was really my takeaway from that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like Cliff Victoria. I know Hard Knocks painted that as a battle between Velus and Ian Wheeler. I don't see it that way. I'm more what Cliff is saying right now. Cliff Victoria said Hard Knocks said Velus or Wheeler. I think it's more Homer or Wheeler. I think you're right. I think they do, and not just because I'm going to cheer Valus on, but I do think if you only been back there a couple of days, if you notice that, he mentioned that, he's only been back there a couple of days. They got a plan for him, man. And the more he's back there, it goes back to reps. The more you rep that, if he was able to do what he did with minimal reps in practice at this stuff, just imagine what he's going to do once he really starts to feel the position and really starts to, it's a difference when you really know what you're doing and you're not having to think about it versus just going back there and say, you know what, you get the ball in your hand and let it rip, dude. But when you really know what you're doing and you know how to read those blocks and understand the concept, know how to get the right depth in the backfield so you don't trip over the quarterback's feet when you're trying to grab the handoff, he's going to look totally different as this goes on. I'm just going to warn everybody now. It's a good warning. Don't worry about what it looks like now. After he gets the reps under his belt, then start judging. But go ahead.
Well, both Wheeler and Valus, that's your two fastest guys on the team.
No, I don't think we were fast.
With Valus,
second fastest guy.
Well, I mean, either way, with Valus, if he takes to this, which in my opinion, I think running back it would be the best position for him. But either way, that gives him versatility. You could keep him, all right, if you got a wide receiver go down, all right, Valus can take that. He could be your third or fourth running back. And you still, kickoff or punt return. Well, I think more kickoff turn. So, I mean, he's got versatility as soon as he, picks up the nuances of the running back.
Yeah. Hey, you know what, man? Let me say this, Kez, because FFG, who's a member, you guys, and later on, I'm gonna tell you why being a member is important to us and you guys as well, man, because I'm gonna show you and tell you guys what exactly can come of your membership, man. It's not just us asking for money. It's going to be tangible things that I'm going to explain to you guys in a little bit of why it's important for people to become a member if you can. But since we're talking about running backs, FFG just asked me particularly. He asked me, what do I think about Khalil Herbert being talk of trade bait? Mm-hmm. Right now, I don't know what to think of it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see them making a move on Khalil Herbert at this time. Like if I just don't see it right now. I think the difference between DeAndre Swift and the next back and Khalil Herbert and the next back is a stiff. I mean, I know it's a lot of people out there that really like Roschon Johnson, and I do too. I like Valus Jones. I like Ian Wheeler, but you have to understand that there's a drop off underneath Khalil Herbert. There really is in talent level. I really think we need Khalil Herbert right now. Just to be flat out honest with you, if he became somebody that was involved in a trade, that would totally surprise me. But I think at that point, I think they'd be trying to get another running back in here, vet running back in here after that, because you got a second-year guy, you got a guy that's undrafted rookie, and you got a guy that's just now starting a position. And so that doesn't leave you very confident in that. So let me showing some love, FGB. Good looking out, Jason, for the 199 super. That's what's happening. So if that's how I'm thinking. If I could answer FFG's question, I know that was a lot of words, but I think the talent level drops off a little bit significantly after Khalil Herbert, to be honest with you.
I think he's trade bait. I'll just say that right now. And I think this is the week. I think this is a week everybody should pay attention to. If Khalil Herbert isn't traded in the next 2 weeks, I don't think he will be traded. And the reason that I say that is because they're up close and personal with a team that needs a running back. I don't think Zach Moss is the end all be all for the Cincinnati Bengals. That's just my 2 cents. I think Khalil Herbert would be a significant upgrade for them at running back. And I think they get the opportunity to look at him up close and personal this week in joint practice. With Velus joining that group, I I can't argue with what Nomad is saying. You're right, brother. The drop off from the drop off from DeAndre Swift to the next man is significant if Khalil Herbert is no longer on the team. But at the same time, I think I think there might be a little bit of wheeling and dealing that happens at the end of this week, because if you notice who's on our team, notice who we got. We got Montez Sweat from a team that we happened to do a joint practice with that preseason, and they got an up close and personal look at him. And I think they may get similar things done this week. But there's another guy on the market right now that might shake things up, so I'll throw that in the mix too. They might also be looking at maybe Hassan Reddick too, if they're thinking about an edge rusher move. So maybe not so much Cincinnati.
For that, but since we're in the running back room and they spend a significant amount of time in this Hard Knocks episode focusing on it, and what have we been hearing? And I'm about to give you a shout out here, Milton Chisholm. Don't worry about it, man. We appreciate the $5 super chat.
Mm-hmm.
But since we're talking about the running backs, they spend a significant time in there. And I'm just rebooting the question for you guys. They spend a significant amount of time in there in Hard Knocks and emphasize it on this episode. Don't think it's not intentional. They know what the hell they're doing when they edit these shows. And we've been hearing time and time again how impressed people are with the running backs in the camp. Been hearing that time and time again. And so I don't know. As a coach, I'm not that willing to really. I don't want to disturb this running back room. But shout out to Milton Chisholm for the $5 super chat. We appreciate you so much for that, bro. But I don't want to disturb this if it's me, just to get a extra. I don't know what they want to. I don't know what they think they're going to get for Khalil Herbert, but it probably ain't going to be what they think he's worth.
Well, the thing is, they got to stay. They got to lock him up or trade him soon. So, that's looming in the distance there. Relative, sooner than later. Right. So it might be. It might be timed well, better than anything else. I'm not. It might be the best timing to make a move in moving him off to another team and recouping something in that respect too.
I just want to know, why is everybody so eager to part ways with him for a bag of chips? I don't understand the
bag of chips. I never. No.
You get a fifth rounder for him tops.
Whoa. I disagree with that. First, he's a starting running back in the NFL. He's got a whole bunch of reps, and
he was a starting running back.
Yeah, and he put up, I'm pretty sure, just pretty relatively close to 1,000-yard seasons a couple of times.
I just don't understand the logic. I think people are so willing to be like, hey, let me get
I'll explain the logic to you right now.
I don't understand it. Doesn't make sense to me.
I'll explain it to you right now. The explanation is, again, I'm pretty sure he's a 6th-round pick, which means everything is upside for Khalil Herbert in a trade capacity. Everything. Even your 5th-round pick that you just said, that's an upside. Right? So he's overplayed his draft stock and the investment that they put into him. He's definitely overplayed it. I think he's done much better than again, where they got him in the draft. So if you're looking at a potential trade case scenario, for in all capacities, it's an upside situation with Khalil Herbert.
Go ahead, Brian. You got something to say.
Okay. One, I agree with you. After Herbert, it is a big drop off. 2, and this is just how life is, if you want to get something of value, you got to give up something of value. Herbert, since he's probably the second best running back on the team, and if you're hell bent on trading a running back, he's the one that's behind Swift. He's going to fetch you the most in return. Also, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Most teams, if they could possibly, whoever their free agents are going to be, if you can get something from it, it's better than them walking and get squat, even if it's a 7th-round draft pick. Because Keds is right. Khalil was a 6th-round draft pick, overplayed his position. Thanks for your service. I really doubt if they're going to re-sign him, especially if you got 1 or 2 guys that can replace him right now. Now, as far as straight up trading Herbert for Hendrickson, I don't see that happening, but I could see, say, Herbert and maybe a 4th-round pick.
Well, this is what I'm saying, right? In
Yeah.
a trade package for somebody that you also have interest in when you go and you spend a week in Cincinnati and get the chance to look at a guy and go, okay.
I know it was said, but remember that was in May.
Look at what Cliff is saying. I think people need to focus on that. What he just said.
Cliff? No, he's right though. And like that's not an incorrect thing to say or anything. And I'm not going to sit here and say that you know.
You could say that about
I really honestly want Khalil Herbert gone. I actually would prefer that he stayed, but I can see we're in a situation where they have to, again, they at some point are going to either have to pay him or cut him. That's coming in a year's time.
Well, so they got a year to think about it. So we got a full season, kids. I mean, you're not in a rush to pay him. You're not worried about him. You're not worried about him leaving in free agency. You know, you can put a competitive offer on the table once the season is over. If you like Khalil Herbert and you want to make sure you show some respect to him, you put a competitive offer on the table. But you don't you wouldn't feel yourself a need to trade Khalil Herbert right now when you got a whole season in front of you and how quickly running backs go out. Well, I just don't think that makes sense. You know,
there's the other factor that they just went out and put good money in another running back's pocket. And that's clearly where they want to invest by way of that position. I have a feeling they're not going to be offering him any level of contract at all in a year's time.
Probably so they may or may not, but you know, I mean, they got a whole season and they have his services for a year.
Yeah, again, that's the worst. That's a good problem to have. That's a worst case scenario. That's an upside. If there's no trade that materializes, we have Khalil Herbert, and he's running things behind DeAndre Swift, and that's a great backup in my capacity, right? Like I can't argue with that. But you know, the question was, is there Khalil Herbert potential trade bait? I'm just saying I can see there being some Khalil Herbert potential trade bait.
And I agree with you.
There you go.
All right. Hey, everybody's
super chat comes first, man. Smitty sent the $10 super chat. All love. There's only one person we don't like. Bear down. I'm trying to figure out who that is. Probably Don.
No love for Don Burr.
All right. Everybody's on Nate Davis's case. If you got rid of him, regardless.
Hey, man, I hear Nate Davis showed up today or yesterday.
Wait a minute. Let me just say this real quick. Everybody was on his case. If you was able to trade him for whoever, Max Crosby, say Ryan Bates gets hurt. Now what the hell do you do? Because Max Crosby ain't playing right guard.
Well, what are we doing here, Brian?
What I'm saying is, if you're going to have that fear of somebody could get hurt and you're shit out of luck, then say you're not trading anybody.
Exactly. Thanks, Brian. Like that was really where I was going.
That is my point. I took the longer route, but I hope I stressed the point.
Well, let me throw a little intrigue in it because all day I got on Twitter a little bit late today, man. I got on Twitter a little bit late today, but as soon as I got on, it was trade talk going on, and Khalil Herbert was in it. What else did I see? It was Khalil Herbert in that conversation, and I also saw a very interesting interview. I think it was CBS talking with Matt Eberflus. He talked to Flus. They talked to, I think, Jalen Johnson. They may have talking to one more person, maybe Rome. I don't know. But I was interested when I watched. Sometimes Flus is sometimes he has a malfunction of the mouth unintentionally. He'll say something that will leave me with a whole lot of intrigue, and I'm gonna tell you what that was. And you know, they were talking about, you know, what the salary cap situation had provided for him, and the talk about edge rusher, and he mentioned that we may be looking to I don't want to rephrase what he said, so I'm paraphrasing like an MF right now, but he said that we're going to be looking to do something there and moving up, coming up soon, and he's talking about improving there coming up soon. I don't know if he was talking about the guys in that building, or if he was talking about this Matthew Judon stuff that everybody seems to be talking about right now. We're in that conversation when they're talking about teams who potentially might be looking to trade for Matthew Judon. It's just reporters. I don't know how much credit or credence to give it, but it's being discussed. And, I believe, this is what I think, kids and Brian, this is what I think is happening here. One way or another, I believe that Austin Booker has proven if he goes out there and has another week like that, like he just had, and shows his team that not only in practice it transfers to a game, in another game, and in another game, I think a move like that might be put on ice into the trade deadline. However, if he looks like he's getting stalled out there and stoned out there, and it might be inconsistent what he can bring to the table, now I can see a strong play being made for Matthew Judon. And then some, depending on what these other guys bring to the table in his next game, it doesn't sound like the starters are going to play much. They're going to get it in this joint practice. They're going to thump and they're going to really, really go at it. So by the time Saturday comes around, they've already seen the best of each other. And so they'll just let those, these guys that's really trying to fight for a spot get some reps. And that's what I expect to see Saturday. But hey, man, this thing can go any way at that other edge position. He said that they're looking to add that other piece. I don't know if he was talking about the guys in camp or if he wants to make a move, but it's coming. I know that.
Well, the one thing that I'll say about Hard Knocks today, like personally, I was a little upset with HBO dropping the ball, period. I was a little bit upset with the episode as a whole. I found last week's episode really, really well done. This one was a little bit lackluster in my opinion.
Look at what Smitty said. Look at what Smitty, his exact words. He said, if we had two of them, that would be better. He was talking about Montez Sweat.
Well, yeah. So the thing that I liked about Hard Knocks was that they zeroed in more or less on all the players of interest, to be honest with you, over the course of last week. They really did. And I wanted to touch on that Austin Booker situation. The kid jumped out to them clearly. They kind of spotlighted it and had a little bit of a conversation around it. And you're bang on. And I'm going to push. I did say, keep your eyes peeled for a Khalil Herbert trade over the course of the next 2 weeks. I'm actually going to push that out to week 7 of the season. Right, push that right out to the end of the available trade window. And why I say that is, Austin Booker might just pick up, and if he picks up, there's no reason to trade at all. Right? Why waste the capital if you have the capital in the building? So we just have to sort of give him a couple of weeks to shine and see what he turns into. Same token, though, Dominic Robinson is coming into his own. Daniel Hardy is coming into his own. Khalid Kareem is coming into his own. I'm kind of impressed with all 4 of those guys at this point right now. And we could have a very monstrous rotation at that edge rush position, whereas we had very little a year ago this time.
And we hadn't even seen Martin yet.
No kidding. Or Walker. Right,
Walker was a little bit.
Yeah, Walker played. He played.
Did he get a couple of snaps in? He did.
He got a couple of series in.
Okay.
But you know what you got in him.
Yeah, you do. Right. This is really a evaluation of these new, younger cats, and what can they put on the table. And Austin Booker said, "I'm putting a Porsche motor on the table. I'm putting a Hemi motor on the table. Let's just go all day long."
I think we got found money in Austin Booker straight up. I was looking at his film hard, before we even drafted him. I looked at his film pretty hard. I'm like, he seems a little light for the position, man, but he's tenacious as fuck. And I like that about him, but I really didn't know what to think of how his body type would transfer against NFL level competition. And so far, this guy has proven to me that his tenacity, and he's strong when he uses that long arm stab. You heard him talk about it in the show. That long arm stab and how he got him rocked back. And that's not gonna this I'm just gonna tell you guys, that's gonna be there for him whenever he wants it. It's gonna be there. So I don't give a shit what he did that to Deion Dawkins and rocked the shit out of him twice. So I'm telling you, what he put on the table, talking about Austin Booker, is transferable in an NFL game, real time. And so we got us a stud. If he's able to stack those games, I'm telling you, I don't know that they feel. I don't know that they. I'm just curious to see what they do. I do like some of these younger guys that they got bringing. They've been spending time. They spent a little time with Daniel Hardy. You know what I mean? I just like to see what they do with that, man. You know, they spent a little time with Khalid Kareem developing him. I just like to see what happens with that. If they can continue to stack games, we got a situation where Ryan Post can hold on to some money. But let me read Jason with the $4.99 super chat. He said, "Man, Post is patient. He's not looking for a win now. He's practicing patience. Judon is old and not a future piece. He's looking for future assets." You know what, Jason? It's hard for me, and thank you. It's hard for me to really know exactly what Poles is thinking about, but Flus kind of had the fraudulent slip today. You know what I mean? And he's got influence over what Poles does with that money. If Flus goes and tells that guy, you could be absolutely right, Jason. You could be absolutely right. But Flus can walk in that guy's office and be very, very, just very adamant about just give us that other piece, and I think we can move mountains. And he might change his way of thinking. But I think you're right about that. He is looking to build in the future. Judon's a little bit older. If he came here, it'd be no more than a year or two. At least 1 year rental. They go into the offseason looking to maybe restructure a contract and offer a new contract depending on what he did. They wouldn't just come right in here and give him, 3 or 4 year contract. That's not going to happen. But yeah, but I appreciate your comment, Jason, man. I think you're right, but Flus does have some influence over that.
I just got a little bit to say on that, and I'm not picking on Jason. I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I think for the most part he's right. But the thing that scares me about Booker is in the 4 years that he played college, altogether he's just barely got 500 snaps. So is he going to get tired, peter out mid-season, like say 2 weeks after the trade deadline? How many defensive ends are you going to keep on the practice squad that don't get plucked by another team?
Well, this is why, that's why you go ahead.
Judon, if you trade for him or someone kind of like that, you're only 2 years max. The Bears with having 3 picks in the top 64 picks next year, and next year being a very strong defensive line, whether that's interior or ends, it may be worth, 1 year rental. All right, I'm done. Next.
Yeah, I don't see us doing the Judon thing. I do know that out there in the winds, there's words that we are in discussions. I kind of doubt it just because of what Jason is saying, truly because of it, because of his
You
age.
we're in the conversation?
I just said there's words out there that we are, and I believe we probably are. I'm not sure if they're going to pull the trigger on anybody until mid-season. And really the reason for that is you get to see how Matthew Judon is performing, right? You get to see are these guys on an upward spin this season? If they are, okay, we can make that deal. This is sort of the beauty of Ryan Poles doing it. The other portion is he gets the opportunity to see his edge rushers that he's put on this team and whether they can actually cut mustard. And so far, we're seeing a little bit of evidence of that in this preseason. I'm just hoping that evidence continues on.
Well, hold on. Let me mute Brian for a second, because what's interesting about Judon is, he can play with his hand in the dirt. What's interesting about him is most of his reps come from the same side that Montez Sweat is on. Most of the good work you see Matthew Judon put in is usually coming from the side of Montez Sweat. That's one of those technical things that you really got to look close to the game and how he plays and how he makes most of his plays. He makes most of them coming from Montez Sweat's side. And so you got to think about that. Not to say that he can't go to the other side and make some shit happen over there. I believe he can. But, technique-wise, he's definitely more comfortable where Montez Sweat makes most of his plays. So think about that a little bit. His age doesn't bother me as much as it does other people, because I think you can have a guy at that age and still have 3 or 4 years of meat left on the tire. You know what I mean? And you just don't know. It's a gamble. But if it's about a youth movement, or if it's about really feeling like they can really, really dent the door and knock it down this year, that's the question we got to ask each other, and that's the question they have to ask each other in that building. Do we want to make? They could get him for a year. They can give up some assets right now and get him for a year. I don't know if that's worth it. You know what I mean? Because you don't know if you're going to be able to get him signed. The only way I see that being worth it is if they have a plan for him, and that's for the next 2 to 3 years. Otherwise, you're going to give up assets and you're going to have them for a rental, lose them in the offseason, right? And so I just don't know how much sense that makes.
I wouldn't do the rental thing at all, and this is sort of where I'm at. You don't want to do the rental. You don't want to do the rental at all. I think that's a huge mistake. You'd rather let somebody else pay for that rental and see if he's still got gas in the tank. Like that's my thoughts on that. I think he did it the right. I think Poles did it the right way. He gives a good view on how to do that last season with Montez Sweat. He was kind of evaluating and determining which do I want Chase Young? Do I want Montez? Well, let's see how they do. Ooh, this kid's disgusting, but we can't get him. I guess we'll go back and get Chase. Oh, you can't trade Chase. You're willing to trade Montez? Okay, well, we'll take the better of the two. Perfect. It worked out. In this scenario, he gets the opportunity to simply just sit back and determine which one of these guys potentially is worth maybe a second-round pick or maybe a fourth-round pick and Khalil Herbert.
All right. I'll give you 2 trade proposals and see which one you think. The New Orleans Saints, they lost Ryan Ramczyk, whatever, for a year, their right tackle. Say you trade Larry Borum to the Saints. Larry Borum, who's on his last year, for Peyton Turner, who's on his last year defensive end. It would be a 1-year rental, but maybe you can re-sign him or not. You're trading almost equal player for equal players, just one position for another. That would be one draft or trade proposal. Bourne for Turner. The second one would be, and I don't know what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need, but they turned down the 5th option for a defensive end, and I'm glad Naja's here because this guy is an ex-Washington Husky, Joe Tridon, and I don't know the rest of his last name, but defensive end. Since they didn't sign him, maybe they'd be willing to trade him so he just don't walk for free. Like I said, I don't know what Tampa Bay needs. But again, both of those guys, Turner and this Joe Tridon, they're young guys. So, I mean, if they do show something, you can sign them. They're not going to be all pros, so they're not going to be expensive.
So my issue with both of those is just that I wouldn't spend any level of capital on anything but a proven edge rusher, like a guy who's going to come in here and just bust heads and and rack up sacks, right? Trey Hendrickson comes to mind. Matthew Judon does come to mind as well, except he's a little bit long in the tooth, for lack of a better thing to say. So that's my worry about that, because these guys
prepared to give up something.
Well, you know what I mean? But the Bears are in position, A, to develop the guys that they have on the roster now, B, to potentially dip into 2025 and get an edge rusher at that time. So do you want to get another developmental edge rusher on top of your existing developmental edge rushers? I wouldn't. I would either get a linchpin and or deal with the developmental guys that I
My
have.
thing with Trey Hendrickson is he said he wanted to be traded in May. You heard that one time, and you hadn't heard a squat about it. So I don't know if him and Cincinnati solved their issue. He may not even be available.
Very true. Very true.
Hassan, I don't think fits, but then that's just me, and who am I?
Oh, Bearski Film is. I hear you, Bearski. Now if you got YouTube free music in there, I want to check it out first, because they've been tearing our behinds off on that, man. It's not that I don't want to play the video, because I do, because I think you make dope ass videos. I just, shout out, Polly. They tear our ass up every time, man. But how about this? The next time we do the show, let's plan on doing it. Let's just check the video out first before we do it. So I'll have a good idea if it's going to be something in it that'll get us. I'm starting to get a feel for how they demonetize and why they demonetize. We haven't been monetized that long to really know the ins and outs of it. So that's all it is, Bearski. I definitely want to play it. I just want to kind of screen it first. But that being said, man, listen, there is something to be said about the way this team looks right now. We have got found money with Austin Booker. I think that's going to continue. I see the trends in his attitude and the way he rushes the passer, and it's less to do about how good he is as a pass rusher, and it's more to do with his tenacity, his grit, his damn determination. That kid has an attitude about him that you can't buy at Walmart, and that's what's going to make him good. He is determined. And I love that positive phrase that Eric Washington gave him on the sideline. He's too. Don't be satisfied. Hell no. Go get you 2 or 3 more.
Well, he was sitting there being dissatisfied, and the best part is Eric agreed with it, right? He's like, oh, I think I could have got 5 sacks out there. Like 2.5 ain't good enough for me. And he was like, yup, yeah, that's what I want, bro. Go get them 5. Get that 5. I appreciated that too. And I can see how, that type of encouragement from your D-line coach, from your DC, is going to speak volumes across that line. And as we move into the season, I'm starting to like Eric Washington. He's good stuff.
Yep, Sophisticated. We just spoke to it just a minute ago. I don't know how long you've been in here, but yeah, Sophisticated Thoughts asked, did you guys catch Fluce's interview when he mentioned they're looking for a pass rusher opposite of Montez Sweat? Not sure if he meant internal or via trade. And that's the conundrum, Sophisticated. If you listen to that, I've listened to that interview 3 times, and I came away with the same feelings that you just put out there. It's kind. You can take that 2 ways. Is he talking about is something developing on the inside, or
both? Both. He was being cryptic. He knows that they need somebody on that other side. Period. So whether it comes one way or the other, we'll see. But I think we got a couple of weeks to see what that develops into with the guys that we have. And you also saw Fluce stomping up and down that sideline going, he's got 3 sacks already. He's got 3 sacks. He's got 3 sacks. That's 3. That's 3, y'all. Right? You got to love that, right? He notices. He saw what he's got, right? And it's continuing on. I appreciate that. I like what Booker's bringing to the table, and I just need to see more of it.
I mean, think about it this way, Brian and kids. Think about it. You have to think about this in a very, very simple way. You can go to, be a accountant and a mathematician and think about how much money we got versus what we got versus what we don't got. You could take that way of thinking, or you can be very simplistic in your mindset. If we went and got, let's say, a Trey Hendrickson is relatively young, and you're definitely going to have him for 4 years, a qualified starter on the other side.
That's
right.
my point.
You're gonna have Matthew Judon definitely for the next 2, maybe 3 years, possibly. When is Austin Booker going to play? When is his growth going to happen? Because now you got to find him reps.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I don't think anything happens as much as everybody is pining for it. Given what he's done in the past, given his history, Ryan Poles, I don't think he's going to do anything until mid-season or the trade deadline. And why I say that is between now and then it'll be obvious and clear that we need another edge rusher. There's no two ways about that one.
You just have to have a feel for your team, and you never want to get in the way of a young player's growth. You don't want to stunt his growth. And I just see nothing but ascension with Austin Booker, and I don't want to see anything get in the way of it. That's just me and my personal feeling towards what I've seen so far. I'm that encouraged by what I've seen. And, I was one of the people banging the table like, hey, make a move. Make a move if the opportunity presents itself. But here I am reeling that back in after seeing what Austin Booker can bring to the table against pro competition.
So, you have to. So, good old Kenny, being a fourth DE is going to get some reps. I can't necessarily rely on a 5th-round pick. And we should probably ask the Las Vegas Raiders about that, because that's exactly what Crosby was. And look at him now, right? They spent their first rounder, their early pick, on Clelin Ferrell. Max Crosby was way down the road when they got him, and he's overplayed expectations across the board. Eddie Jackson's another guy to talk about. Although he's not an edge rusher, he was a 5th-round pick who overplayed his stock. We just finished talking about Khalil Herbert, who's a 6th-round pick who overplayed his stock. It happens all the time. So it's really a question of, are you willing to give this guy the opportunity to shine and overplay his draft stock? Again, if we're looking at historical stuff, Braxton Jones is a great example of a 5th-round pick that Ryan Poles decided, we're going to ride it out with the 5th rounder and see how he does. So I won't be surprised if no movements happen.
Jay Greer's with he said, you guys keep talking edge and no word out of House Hall about concerns about the O-line. Don't guys think Flus, Waldron, and Poles are content with what they have at the O-line already? To be honest with you, man, if you had Grizz, if you stuck me with a needle to get the truth and I was asleep and I just woke up and I start talking, that's probably where I'd be telling you I'd spend money at right now if I had to spend money. It's probably on the offensive line to make sure I had it shored up. That's just based on what I've seen thus far. I'm only telling you based on my review of the film, the same film everybody else gets to watch. And not to say that the offensive line gave me all kinds of worry, because I think they comported themselves pretty well. But if you want to shore this up, and if you want to make sure that this rookie quarterback has a pretty good season, you got to make sure you're solid there. And, I like the move putting Pryor on the inside, on the other side behind. I think he's doing well behind.
He's been fantastic.
Bro. Yes, he's doing well behind Nate Davis, and that's a good move there. It's the left tackle. So if you guys haven't heard, it's starting to sound like Karan Amagaji is on his way working back to actually playing some football. And we just talked about that Sunday, didn't we, Kez, about why it's important to get that guy out here to see if we need to go spend some draft capital this offseason at that tackle position. So him coming back, and I'm going to I've already asked the good doc to come on, Dr. Mason West to come on, and hopefully with sometime this week, we'll do a show and he'll come on and talk about the injury process of a completely torn, I think, hamstring, completely torn hamstring. squad and what that's like recovering. And is he ahead of schedule? Is he not? Do we have a real solid chance of seeing him sometime this season? Yay or nay? Yay or nay? I think we're going to find out. Dr. Mason West is always going to give us a good answer there. So that being said, I was just pleased to hear that.
Well, Kenny asked more or less the same question that we're sort of batting around, and that's: would you rather spend cap dollars on an additional edge or an additional tackle or guard? So that's right where we've been. We moved right off of edge, right into the tackle situation, which is where Nomad feels the investment should be, because he's not 1,000,000,000% sold on the Braxton Jones experiment. I'm a little less worried about that particular position, because I'm a little more worried about whatever's happening in the interior now with Nate Davis's situation. And I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised by Matt Pryor, you guys. I'm not sure if you guys are offensive line aficionados. I'm not. Let's put that out there right now. Unfortunately, I've been stuck staring at offensive line a heck of a lot more frequently than I ever really wanted to over the course of the last few years. That being the case, here we are looking again, and Matt Pryor looked fantastic. He did a great job stepping into the role that Nate Davis has not been able to step into. And from what I'm hearing, again, of course, because he looked great, all of a sudden Nate Davis shows up and he's back in practice ready to go. Why? Because Matt Pryor looked real good in his job. So we'll see how that situation shores up, but I wouldn't be mad if they did something at that position, at the guard position. I wouldn't be mad if they did something at the center position either. I think there's things that they could do, and if something pops on that other left side, right, going back to the defensive side again, if Austin Booker turns out to be that edge rusher, holy smokes, guys, a little bit of an embarrassment of riches, and they can actually turn around and really zero in and focus on that offensive line and fill whatever holes they see fit.
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I mean, since I don't have anything other than what I read online about the offensive line, if it's a deal where, we've been getting mad at Nate Davis, but Ryan Poles hadn't said anything, maybe he's just one of those guys that, when the season starts, that's when he shows up. Now he's just taking it easy. If that is the case, you have Ryan Bates and Matt Pryor as your backups. Pryor can play everything but center. Bates can play everything but probably left tackle.
Yeah.
And then you got Karan. I mean, if those three are your backups, that's not too bad, folks.
Hey, Cornelius seems to think the O-line is fine. He said Bill Murray is showing promise too. I think Bill Murray has been playing mostly guard.
Yeah.
He has been.
I think he's been playing mostly guard in camp. Has he gotten some tackle snaps? I don't know if he has. I haven't heard it. Man, I just these last couple of years probably has me a little bit with some PTSD. And Cornelius, man, I've seen enough to scare the shit out of me. I'll just say that. And I don't know if they have. I think Braxton Jones, I think he's okay for now. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's going to really excel or is he going to take that leap everybody's talking about. I don't know. I just speak to you from my feelings of what I've seen so far. I don't know, man. I don't want to be just okay. I want to see this kid get kept clean so we don't scar this young man. You know what I mean? I just don't want to see this one get scarred and have that kind of basically PTSD from getting the shit kicked out of him because we don't have qualified people. I think Braxton is solid, but I don't know about if somebody's qualified to back him up right now. Not with Kieran Amagaji not being out there. We don't know what he can bring to the table. Some of these other guys that's been around the league from here to there, somebody may surprise us, man, but I'm going to be worried about the O-line until they show me they can hold him up and keep this kid clean, man. I'm gonna be worried about it.
What you see from Matt Pryor's he plays every position like that. Like I said, when he was playing for the Colts, and unfortunately, I would only be able to. The Colts game was the only football game I could see. I seen the guy. Is he a Pro Bowler? No, he's a solid player that ain't going to cost you the game. You ain't going to hear his name about penalties.
Well, that's important, right? I don't know. I think at the end of the day, they have their work cut out for them, man. On that offensive line, I was happy. I was definitely ecstatic with the way that with the way that line played this past week. They kept Caleb relatively clean. I think they're going to do the same thing this coming week. And my question really is Nate Davis going to be a part of it or not? That's the question. Let's find out if he is a part of it or not. And
Part of what?
A part of the O-line play this coming week.
Oh, nah, probably not. They probably ain't gonna play no starter.
What are you talking about? If they're playing Caleb Williams, he's their starter.
I don't know if they're gonna play him.
They might not. Since we went down this road, I heard something to the effect that Cincinnati's not playing theirs.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna do all they need to do to each other and for each other in that joint practice, and so they're gonna be flying around making that like a real game, testing each other's concepts, testing each other's playbooks, doing trying to match schemes in real time and all. You should have heard Eric Washington talk about it today in his presser. You have a sense of they're gonna find out everything they need to know about their starters, their backups, all that shit in that practice. And those backups are going to get an extra chance in the actual game. That's what I think they're thinking. They could flip the script and say, all right, fuck it. The Bengals won't start their starters, but we'll play ours. But I don't see that happening. I think they'll get it in joint practice.
Well, hell, then that explains why HBO Max went down tonight. Because they're probably thinking if these SOBs aren't going to give 100% effort at a joint practice and they're not going to do it at a televised game, I'm just being the smart ass joking, folks.
Yeah, you are. Don't give HBO no excuses for dropping the. I almost did it. I did. I'm not going to do it. Anyway.
I'll just respond to Smitty. Smitty Q says, hey, check out Jalen Johnson's interview on Richard Sherman's podcast when you get a chance. I definitely will when I see it.
Me too. Yeah, I'm glad that they delved into him too and how well he's been able to guard one of the best receivers in the NFL. Again, a top 100 player in the NFL according to players themselves. Jalen's no joke. I don't got to tell anybody here that. I don't have to tell any of the Bears fans that. He's the real deal. He's definitely proved that. I think the best thing that's coming out this season is just how slept on this team is by way of the actual NFL. I think the NFL has no bloody idea this is coming, and I think it's going to take the NFL by storm, and I can't wait for it. Can't wait. Let's keep going through these preseason games and showing decent offense and playing lights out defense. Like that's what I need to see. A couple more weeks of this.
I want somebody to take a camera to the joint practice because obviously that's going to be the one that counts.
You know what? And I'm glad you mentioned that, Brian, because we still have 123 people in there that I can see right now. And so it's good to mention this. Membership took us a long time to get here because we wanted to come to a really reasonable way that everybody can get involved and really help the network out and push the channel forward. So it was easy when I came in here and I asked guys and I asked people in the chat, like, what do you think is the right thing to do? And it very quickly, people said $4.99 is the best way to go. I'm gonna explain to you what that's gonna do for us because I'm gonna tell you first of all the couple of needs. First of all, you're gonna get some extra content, but we won't do that because you're a member. We're gonna do that because we love you anyway, and because you're a member, you're gonna be able to get it and have it be exclusive. But the more important stuff is we need a couple of graphics people that are talented. I don't care if it's male, female, black. I don't give a damn what they are. we need a couple graphics people. So some computer graphics, video graphics people. We need a couple people like that. Number one. We also need somebody that can reach out and do sponsorship, kind of manage that thing, reach out for sponsorship, because I'm one person. I got a couple of guys that we work with, and I love these guys, but we can only do so much. We juggling a whole bunch of stuff. And how does that help? That helps us pay people to go out and do the jobs and make this channel what it needs to be. And also, the third thing is we are getting ready to go into our second year of being a Bears podcast, and we have yet to put people in camp. We have yet to put people in the combine. We have yet to put people at games to come back and give us live broadcasts of what they've seen. What does that money help do? Stuff like that. Exactly, things like that. It helps pay these guys, give people money for the efforts they give to the channel. And so it's not for nothing. I just want people to know that there are tangible benefits to giving $4.99, and I hope that's just for the people who can. If we can get half of the No Maniacs to sign up, we already started to win, and we'll already start going down that lane, and we'll start checking some of those boxes. And so I just wanted people to know we're not just asking people to become members so we can vacuum up $5 of your money every month. I'm telling you guys what's tangible and what you'll see right away. And so for when we start doing the members only content, we are probably at about 9 or 10 members as of now. And we just started a few days ago. So when we get up to about 25 or 30, that's when Kids and I will get together. We'll start our first members only content. But I just wanted to make sure you guys know how I am. I'm going to always be transparent and tell you exactly what's going on. Those are the tangible benefits to doing, giving a contribution every month. So just wanted to let you guys know that.
And besides having somebody go to the combine, maybe a college, the Senior Bowl, or another college all-star game. I mean, all that, it takes money.
So thank you, everybody that's already become a member. We love you guys for that, man. I know we'll get to where we need to get to. So by the time it really, we're going to have people at these events, man, and they're going to report out live. It's going to give you guys more and better content by way of doing that. So just understand what's going to happen once you become a member. It's going to do things like that for us. But with that being said, man, we don't need to wrap this up just yet. You guys you want to talk to the chat a little bit?
Well, I'm definitely going to talk to Cornelius Squalls. Cornelius, basically, you're just looking for the join button. Click the join button, and away you go. If you're using your phone, you might have to minimize the chat to find the join button. I've noticed that's how you find it on both the phone as well as on Android, iPad as well. So the join button is right beside the Nomad Network icon, as well as to the left of the subscribe button. By all means, Cornelius, join up. That would be fantastic. We'd love to have you. And
let me speak to FFG right quick, because he asked. He said members want discounts on merchandise too. That we absolutely have talked about that already, and we haven't come up with a good way of doing it yet. Now, once we figure that out, when you're dealing with a website, the website is one entity. The people that do the merchandise is another. Trying to figure out how to integrate that in the best way possible. We're just trying to streamline it. Streamline it is what we're trying to do. So once we get that figured out, FFG, we'll have that available to you. I don't know. It might come in a QR code. I don't know what it's going to be, but we'll find out a way to make sure that members get discounts on merchandise. Just give us some time to figure that out.
Word up.
But let me talk to some other people here. What we got here? I don't know how many comments I have starred. I know it's late, guys, and I appreciate you guys for being here with us this late, too. That was very nice. Hopefully, Cornelius, you can figure out how to do that, but it should be as easy as hitting a button and then putting your credit card information in. That's all it is. What say you, Brian, man? What stuck out to you just overall about this episode of Hard Knocks, man? Give me Give me one thing that you circled and you've been thinking about it since.
There was one thing.
Besides that pink ass building.
There was one thing that was said that I never. It never dawned on me, and this may not mean squat to anybody. It was just, okay. But when they're talking to Caleb, and I can't think, I don't know if it was Kerry Joseph or somebody else, and then on the board, they had the referee and his crew, and they talked about there's 17 crews in NFL, and it takes you about 2.5 years to play a game, to be able to play a game against every crew. And he's talking about, hey, you want to get to know these guys, try to get on their good side, blah, 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 have information. When you go out there, you can, shoot the breeze where you're like a buddy. They accept you more as a buddy. And to me, that was interesting because one, I didn't know it would take 2.5 years running all the referees, play a game where they was.
Oh yeah, that was enlightening. I didn't know that myself.
And then just the how to. I'm not saying persuade where they see, but where you present yourself. Hey, I don't know how to explain it, but I thought it was interesting.
Can I speak to Jay Grizz asked the question? Let me get that back up. He said Nomad Network, has anyone been keeping an eye out for the other 3 NFC North teams that have performed so far this preseason? 2 of them in particular I watched. I'll just tell you what I saw. The Lions that didn't look good in that first preseason game. I'm not gonna say, I mess around with Don when he's here. I kick him right in the scrotum, and I'll let him know they look terrible. The depth looked terrible, but it was one preseason game. I didn't see what they looked like. What was it this week? I don't know what they look like this week, but I will say this, and this is probably the hardest thing I could say on this show. In this crowd, Green Bay looked like the Billy. They look good. I'm just letting y'all know that right now. Green Bay looked good. Yes, they did. And I'm just being straight up. You asked me a straight up question, Jay Grizz, I'm giving you a straight up answer. The Packers look good. And so I believe that's going to be our toughest battle this year. I think we have Detroit's number for the most part. I think that's going to be our toughest battle, but I do think we can beat them. I do think they're going to be a different team without what's his number, 33 back there? It's going to be a different team this year without him back there. I promise you that. And I love Josh Jacobs, but he's a different 33 brought you a different kind of threat. And the best way I can describe that is the way he knifes and his 0 to 10 speed. He gets from 0 to 10 so fast, next thing you know, he's on your secondary. He's a different type of threat than Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is a physical threat. And so I'll just say that. Go ahead, kids.
I don't want to hear and Jay Grizz is so with me here. He says, Nomad, thank you for telling me what I need to hear, but not what I want to hear. I don't want to hear any of that. I don't want to hear the Green Bay.
That's the problem, man.
Neither does Jay Grizz. I'm right there with you, Jay Grizz. I don't want to hear that kind of noise. I want to hear that the Packers are absolutely garbage. But here's the thing. Bears got almost 10 games, maybe a couple more than that, before they really have to think about the Packers. So although all of us a little bit squeamish, let's let these guys cook for 12 games first and get there. And my thoughts is, to be quite frank, may not even matter if they win or lose against the Packers. As much as we cry and moan about it, might not make any difference. They could lose both games and still get to the playoffs and potentially still get to the Super Bowl by circumnavigating them completely. But hey, I'm just saying, I ain't too worried about the Packers right now. I think this team is that good. that they can make a deeper playoff run, and very possible that the Pack won't be a problem. But hey, I don't want to hear that they're looking good. That's
I know nobody wants to hear that. And Aunt Moss, listen, man. You know, I don't put a lot of stock in the preseason, but there are some things you can glean from the preseason. There's absolutely some things you can glean from the preseason. How well structured the team is, how good the depth is, and how well the operations look. And I keep telling people over and over, Green Bay has been running the same system for well over 30 years, man. Well, somewhere around 30 years, man, since Holmgren. You know what I mean? Since before home, they have been running the same. And so quarterback after quarterback after quarterback comes in and plays well in the system. They just find pieces that are interchangeable. You lose one, slap in another, work with him until he gets up to speed, and then there you go. That's the system. And so with Green Bay, it's more or less, it's not really beating Green Bay. It's having a lick for the system. That's the key, especially on their offense, is having the cheat to stop the system. How do they want to attack you? You know, that's the thing with Green Bay. I don't care how many people don't like to hear that. It's the truth. That's the cheat code to beating Green Bay. Can you find the way to lick the system? The system works. It's been working for a long time. And I do think we have the team to do it now. We have the team speed. We have the team versatility. I'm talking about our defense in particular. We have the team speed. We have the team versatility. So you're not sitting there in predictable 4-man fronts, 2 linebackers and 5, all that kind of stuff sitting in a zone. Now you can get a little bit more multiple with your Eric Washington in the air, dealing with your Austin Bookers. You can drop back into a flat to kind of take away some of that stuff, those crossing patterns that they like to run. You've got the pieces like a Jacob Martin to compete with those guys. And that's what they were missing the last couple of years. They did not have the pieces.
Well,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brad.
I'd like to see what Eric Washington's record is against Green Bay. I know he probably didn't face him that much, but I'm just curious what his record would be.
Yeah, less curious about that, and for all intents and purposes. But you're right. They need to have that's when we played them last. It's very simple, guys. When they played them last, they double teamed Montez Sweat. He wasn't as effective as he could be in that scenario, given the double team, and nobody else broke off that line to get any pressure on Jordan Love. And from there, Jordan Love can pick us apart and just find soft portions of the zone to make easy catches, and off they went, right? That it's literally that simple. You need to have a viable pass rush. So we need a Gervon Dexter to step up. We need an Austin Booker to step up. If that actually happens, Jordan Love will be running for his life. If Jordan Love is running for his life,
left hand is ditto on what you're saying.
Say what?
He's ditto on left hand. That's the key to it. You got to get a helmet on the quarterback. If they get to the quarterback, that's it.
That's it, right? I don't even need you to get a helmet on him. Just get him off his spot. Make him take a second or two longer, because it's not just the quarterback that's in question. It's also the route that's happening, in the secondary. Things get shaky. Guys get eyes on the ball and can break on the ball if you've held on to it a little bit longer than normal. Those windows close. That zone becomes much less soft. It's about that simple. You just have to get at the guy. He can't be free and clear making plays like he was all season last season. And that's it. Do they have a good offensive line in Green Bay? Yes, they do, but they're also, I believe, short of Bakhtiari, if that's the word on the streets. In any event, you just got to get him. You can't. It's the same thing with Jared Goff, right? Like if you rattle Jared Goff's cage, it's an interception late in the afternoon. Just rattle his cage.
Once you get paws on him, put him on the turf. But I'm like C Spags, man. I'm like C Spags 007. Good ass name. I like that. He said you will see the turnaround begin this year. You could feel the new energy in the Bears. I was at the game Saturday. They were afraid of nothing, total confidence. And you know what? C-Spags, the people in the spiritual world will totally get what I'm saying to you, what I'm about to respond to. And I'm going to tell you this in the spiritual sense. Sometimes I can look at something and not be looking at it at all and turn off all of that and just kind of feel what's going on. And I wasn't at that game. I was watching it on TV like a normal pedestrian. And I can feel exactly what you're saying. You can sense it. That's what I'm getting at. I let my senses do the talking. My antennas go up, my ears shut, and my eyes kind of close, and you just feel it. And that's what I was feeling. And then when I open my eyes, does that match the feeling I was getting in here? Yes. Check that fucking box. I do think the Turner, they're gonna beat them this year. They got the pieces to do it.
Well, that explains a lot. So every woman I've ever met, it wasn't me. She was just having a spiritual experience and can tell that I was a losing clown. But anyway, getting back to what I said about Washington, if he's able to scheme to where, and that's his modus operandi, being able to get blitzes and all that stuff, him alone could make the difference where we could maybe beat the Packers.
I wouldn't.
They got
let me actually find a place to agree with you here, right? So the agreement for me when it comes down to Eric Washington is much less to do with scheme versus the Packers. It has a lot more to do with the development of those four guys I talked about earlier into this episode. So I'm going to attribute a lot of that development to Eric Washington and what he wants from his edge rushers on this team on that defensive line. That being the case, we're seeing an explosion right now of four guys who look a heck of a lot better than they did last time this year, barring the rookie who we really, didn't get the chance to see. That being the case, that's Eric Washington. If those guys can, again, jump off that line and get pressure, he doesn't really need to scheme. He doesn't. He can go – it could be Matt Eberflus vanilla vanilla defense, to be frank with you. If the pressure is there, that vanilla defense works. Don't have to blitz.
We did not have the pieces to make that vanilla defense work at all the last couple of years.
We didn't.
We have the pieces now.
I think so too. And again, it comes down to those two guys I mentioned. It comes down to Gervon Dexter and whoever's on the other side. Thoughts being potentially Austin Booker. If those two guys are there and they can win their one-on-one matchups because Montez Sweat is double teamed, holy smokes, football changes. Like I don't know what else to tell you guys. That's what we need on that line. Football completely changes. We got the big name double team. What do we do with the other two guys? You lose. That's what you do.
I can tell you for a fact, man, playing in that defense is the worst feeling in the world when you don't have front pressure. If they can't get there in a 1001, 1002, 1003, if somebody ain't either in the passing lane, coming around the corner, so he feels that pressure, making him step up, and somebody's not getting in his lane or sight of vision, and somebody's not making him at least move a little bit, we're in trouble. But when you have those pieces, and it seems like we're on the cusp of developing that right here, right now, within the pieces they have in that building. It seems like we're right there. I want to see that again. I'm talking about, I don't care if we see Montez Sweat. I don't care if we see, I want to see these young guys, these young edge rushers, these young, the Daniel Hardys, the what's his name, Khalid Kareems, the Austin Bookers. I want to see the Jacob Martin if he's playing. I want to see if they can get those depth pieces to come in there and have no let off and be the guys that when you're in the game and when they try to slot protection over to Montez Sweat, you get your one-on-one beat and get to the quarterback in that 1,001, 1,002, 1,003 time span. You can beat the shit out of Green Bay all day, every day, because their offense is all about timing. It's all timing, just like ours. Just like ours, it's all timing. If you can disrupt his rhythm, disrupt his timing, you will disrupt the flow of that offense. Guaranteed. I know that from experience. And so that's how we beat them. And I think they have the pieces to do that this year.
I think they do too.
So, go ahead, kid.
I'm just saying we're just hoping one of those guys really jumps out and stakes his claim as that, that linchpin on the left-hand side. That's all we need. If that happens and he can win his one-on-ones against, a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle like he did last week, you're worried. The worries with the Packers are a little bit less. That's really all I have to say. And that goes for any team in the NFL, really. Any team.
Go ahead, Brian.
No one's going to like what I got to say, but I have more hopes that you get a veteran defensive coach that is known than putting my hopes in a rookie and second-year guy and some journeyman players.
Well, I got a little bit more confidence in that. I believe that there's I could see some tangible things that make me feel like it was a preseason game, but like I said, you can glean some stuff in a preseason game, even when you're looking at backups most of the time. There's a lot of things you can glean. You just got to know what to look for. And I'm seeing guys given one-on-one opportunities, and I'm talking about the defensive front again. I know we talked about that most of the time, but I'm seeing that potentially not being as I think it could become a strength for us, because I think just the multiple pieces they have and the different skill set to offer a challenge to those offensive linemen. I think the different guys that they can throw at you, I think is pretty impressive. You got a long arm guy, between Sweat and Booker. You got two long arm guys that do that long arm stab. You got a power guy in DeMarcus Walker. You got speed guys in Jacob Martin and guys like that. Hardy, Khalid Kareem, another long guy. That length is a problem. So the different ways. Then you got guys like Martin and I believe Martin Hardy, Booker can give you some reps dropping back into coverage. And so you don't have to be stuck with the 4-down lineman concept. You can drop guys back into coverage and give defenses another wrinkle. Offense is another wrinkle to pay attention to. And so those three things encourage me, saying, you know what, that's going to be a challenge to who? Definitely going to be a challenge to Detroit. Definitely going to be a challenge to Green Bay. It's going to force them to come off their first and second read. And so when I talk about looking at stuff that you can glean and take away from it and look forward to a matchup, that's what I'm doing when I'm telling you that. I can see that stuff being tangible. And so we got some pieces, man. It's just, if you see them guys come out there and they're totally just getting after this quarterback in this next game, we got something we can really, really hang our hats on. That's just what I believe.
I wonder if Cincinnati plays their first team defense too. That's my first team defense, first team offense. We'll have to see what competition our team is up against. Same token, keep a close ear to the ground as to whatever news is coming out of the Cincinnati practices. I think that might be a little bit more accurate than even us judging what happens in this coming game, depending on who starts, right? But in any event, I just want this to continue. I want the Austin Booker hype train to get louder and faster. That's where I'm at. I think it's worth its while to wait on signing an edge rusher. Probably not a good idea to sign one right now. Keep your eyes peeled. Take a look at this guy. I think he's going to ascend into something that will work and win one-on-ones on the opposite side of Montez Sweat. And I'm here for it all day long.
So, guys, do me a favor. If you agree with anything that was being said here in this show today, did we make some points that you can hang your hat on that you think that really made a whole lot of sense? Whether it was me, Brian, or kids, doesn't matter. If you thought so, man, hit the like button. That's what it's for. When you hear something that really, like, hey, I noticed that too, or hey, I didn't think about that, man. That's a good point. If you heard some of that stuff tonight, you heard at least once, go ahead and hit the like button if you was thinking about it, man. Please help us out in that category. Of course, hit the subscribe if you're new to the channel. That's definitely going to help us out. But what's important right now is that we get enough members to the channel to help us grow this thing out and get people in places to do jobs for us so we can really, really blow this channel out of the water, man, and grow this thing into what you all know it can be. We just need a little help doing it. Nothing is free, you know what I mean? Just want to let you guys know that there are ways that you can tangibly help this network grow. And those are the 3 things you can do right off the top. So that being said, man, I want to pass it on to my guy to Canuck for some pleasantries after this close to an hour and a half content post Hard Knocks episode 2, which we waited too damn long for. But go ahead, take it away, my man.
Yo, yes. HBO, you fumbled the ball. Like nobody I've ever seen before. You deserve to be fired. In any event, it finally showed up. We got through it. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and giving us a little extra time because HBO clearly needed some extra time. I don't know what that was about. But, hey, it was late last week, too. I'm feeling this is going to continue on. CPT, y'all. Anyways, some love for the rest of you guys out there in the chat. Ant Mouse is with us. Damon Dice, thanks for hanging out with us, Damon. Cornelius Squalls, hopefully you find that join button. If not, go right to the main page. I'm sure you'll find it at that point. Same directions for Jason. By all means, go to the main YouTube channel, the Nomad Network YouTube channel. I threw it in the chat there earlier on. In any event, once the chat is gone, you'll likely see that join. Who else is out there with us? We had some cool folks with us today. Good old Mick Fact, what it do? Leo Factor jumped in. C Spags 007. Geraldo was with us today. Or Geraldo. Tomato. Jigsaw was with us. Who else we got? AC Adam, Bearsky Film, Left Hand. Geez, man, we had a pretty full house today. Chopped it up over what HBO gave us as Hard Knocks episode number 2. I think it was pretty decent. I am going to say one more time that I think they zeroed in on key contributors during this past week, and they're more or less the same folks that we did talk about in our Sunday show. So I think we're seeing eye to eye with where HBO is, and let's hope the progress continues. That being said, one love to all you guys. Thanks for coming through. Country Santa, what do you got to say, brother?
Oh, gee, thanks for taking all the meat off the bone, eating a bone, and I get to lick the plate. Anyway, thanks all the No Maniacs for staying up late, being patient with us. Interesting, good show. The show and the podcast. It always amazes me that you guys, we can talk for an hour and a half. Everybody's still pretty much here. Again, thanks for your support. If you hadn't hit the like or subscribe, please do it on the way out. Have a safe, blessed week, and look forward to talking with you guys again. Mr. Nomad.
All right, man. I appreciate everybody. A ditto.
Hey, wait a second. Before we shut down the show, C Spags, how did you get it in Canada?
Everybody in Canada. I told you, Brouhaha had it with no problem either. Everybody in Canada was getting it clean, man.
What service are you using in Canada? I'm using the Zone. It's lit up. It says Hard Knocks all over the place, but it ain't playing no Hard Knocks. So I've come up with other machinations. feel free to use that word, to actually watch this show. Unfortunately, I didn't get it until like 10 o'clock Eastern Standard. Anyways, let me know where you found it in Canada, what service you're using, C-Spags. I'm clearly a Canadian looking for some Hard Knocks action here too. Same to you, Bruja7. If you're hearing me out there, Bruja, let me know. He has a fire stick. He did the same thing as you, Brian. All right, I can dig it. All right.
Yeah, seems like people with the fire stick, man, they did way better than everybody else that paid for a subscription, for sure.
Well,
Yes.
and also I was able to HBO, not HBO Max. I don't know if that makes a difference too.
So, moral of the story is
lie, steal, and cheat.
Yes, thank you. I will accept that as the moral of the story. Lie, steal, and cheat. Eddie Guerrero. Boom. No,
all right, man. That being said, man, I want to take a special moment to thank Lionel Garcia, wherever you are. Hopefully, you're hearing this right now, or you hear it later on. You hear my sincere thank you for the birthday gift he gave me on August 4th, day before my birthday, and I'm just now, here it is, August 13th, just now seeing it because I don't look at my Cash App all the time. But I will do better about that, making sure I check it. But I definitely appreciate it, man. Sending love right back to you for the love you sent me. It's called reciprocation. And that's what we got to do right now. We got to talk a little bit about that. And I want to take this conversation really, and I'm not going to take long. I'm not going to take much of you guys' time. But we talk about vibe and we talk about frequency on here quite often when we get ready to end the show. I want you to pay really, really close attention to this now. Because and we're never going to get on here and talk about politics or anything like that. That's not what this is about whatsoever. But I want you to pay close attention to, let's just say this. You can make a choice or have a deed done. Do a deed, right? There's a choice and then there's a deed. And those things are pretty simple. You know what's important is the intention behind it.
Yes.
So whether it was a good deed or a deed that turned out to be wrong, whether you had the intent for that thing to turn out wrong, or you wanted to do harm to somebody, or you intended to do good with somebody, it's all in the intent.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the universe recognizes. It's the intent before you even do it. So before you even did that deed, whether it was a good one or a bad one, the universe knew what your intent was. Whether you want to say if you're a religious person, you believe it's God, Jehovah, Buddha, whatever you choose as your belief system, I'm okay with that. I won't fuss with you, argue with you, put you down. I love everybody. And I mean that when I say that. I make a conscious effort to not judge and not, cast dispersions on anybody and what they believe. I grew up in the church just like your average Black person in America, man. We grew up in Baptist churches and listened to hallelujah, ladies with big hats cutting up and dancing in the damn aisles and doing all that kind of stuff, and I still respect the church. I fellowship on a regular basis with people. Depends on what your intentions are. If I see people with good intentions, I don't care what your belief system is. That's something I can get in line with. I can align myself with someone with good intention. And so when you go out and do, let's just say you go out and do something for somebody, but you didn't really have the right intention for doing it. You did it just for the sake of, okay, somebody's watching me do this for you. And I want people to see it. So people will go out and they'll go do a good deed and put it on camera. You know what I mean? Go out and feed the homeless people and put it on camera. You know how many times I've done that shit and have never put it on camera, not a once. I did it with Hosea Williams in Atlanta. If you from Atlanta or you've been down there for long enough, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Hosea Williams feeds the homeless. He feeds kids. It's a program designed to help people in need. I didn't need no camera or my phone to go out and film that. I did it because I want to do it. I saw a need, I saw a void, and I saw an opportunity to go help some folks. I've done that on my own during COVID when people were sick and scared to die. Giving people stuff. It's just, you have stuff in your home. You got too much. You got surplus. And that's what too much is. You got stuff that you don't need. Give more. Don't sell it. Give it. If you can. Just give it to people. Intention is everything, folks. It's not the deed as much as it is the intention. Whether it's a good deed or a bad deed, the universe knew exactly what it was before you did it. You have to understand that. And so in order to get better as a human being, and in the way it's an ongoing process. I'm going to constantly strive, as long as I got breath in my lungs, to be a better human every day. I don't care about what people look like, what they believe. If I think I can make a positive change on your life, I'll effing do it without hesitation. That's just the way my heart is made. And so you do those things. You do things for people because you need to do something for people, not because I have the intention of getting something back in return, whether it's a acknowledgement with my phone, posting a video, or somebody saw me doing it and say, hey, that was a nice thing you did. You do it because it's the right thing to do, right? And so I just wanted to make sure people understand that it's all in your heart and your soul and your spirit, how you approach this life, and trust and believe before you make those actions, before you go out and do those deeds, whether it be a good one or a bad one. Trust me, the universe knows exactly what your intention is. You can't hide it. And so whether it was a bad one, trust me, that karma is boomeranging back on you. It might not get to you in the time that you think it might come, but it's coming. And so don't put those bad deeds out there. Why? Why even do it? Some stuff you just have to step away from, and you can't step to it, even when it was done wrongly towards you. There's stuff going on against me right now that I won't respond to, because what's the point? I'm busy moving forward. All the people that's gonna hang on the side to try to slow me down, I'm like Earl Campbell on crack. Good luck. Good luck. You ain't gonna stop me. You ain't gonna slow me down. If it slows me, it'd be for like 5 seconds, and I'm back to running your ass over. And so don't even try it. So that being said, man, I just want to thank you guys. Be mindful about your intent in your heart and in your spirit. Okay, that's the message tonight. But with that being said, I want to thank you guys one more time for showing up and being a part of what we do over here, man. We love you guys. Sorry it was so late. Blame HBO and HBO Max for all that kind of crap. They owe us one. Matter of fact, soon as Hard Knocks is over, I'm gonna write them a beautiful letter. I'm not gonna give them an ugly one. I'm gonna let them pleasantly know why I'm going to unsubscribe soon as Hard Knocks is over, because they have some pretty good shows out there. Go ahead, Brian. I see you want to say something.
Well, I just make sure you sign at Earl Campbell's crack dealer.
Yeah, man. Listen, man.
Wow.
I was being funny there, man. That's pretty good. Yeah. That being said, man, I want to thank you guys one more time, man. It was a fun show. It's late. Everybody needs to get off here and get up and go to work in the morning, man. But I just want to give you a little heads up. I think Thursday, I don't know exactly what time joint practice is, but we got a plan scheduled to give you guys some coverage afterwards. And if we're lucky, we'll get the good doc on here to talk about that Kieran Amagaji rehab, and how soon could we look forward to him being on the field. Because I know people got a lot of questions about that. And I think he has a better understanding than most people I know. And so when he comes on, it's always going to be good information. And we'll come away from that feeling better about where he is in respect to coming back and playing some football. All right, so we got to get ready to get out of here. I got stuff to do. Everybody's got stuff to do, and we love you guys. But before I leave, I got to make sure I leave you with this. If you can think it and you can see it, you can damn sure manifest it. It's all up to you. Get your ass out of your own way and make it happen. All right? We are out.